Hi guys, today me and Geoffrey from YouTube channel Land of Chem are talking about the Pyramid of Userkaf and Saqqara. We are sharing our unique experience of visiting of this Pyramid of Userkaf. Watch our video and you're gonna know a lot of interesting stuff you have never heard before. So today we're talking about Userkaf Pyramid, and we both we have experience with this pyramid, and it's not too many people was inside pyramid. So I want you to share your experience with Userkaf Pyramid, how you get in, and what did you see inside, and what impression you have about it.
Yeah, so correct me if I'm wrong, but the Asida project mission into the Pyramid of Userkaf was 2013?
We started 2012. Yes, I guess 2012 or 2013.
Yeah. So we were the first people to
Yep.
be granted access into the Pyramid of Userkaf since the Asida project team members went in 2013. So
And
basically, your team and my wife and I are the only people that have been in there in the past decade, and very few people know about this structure, and even less people are interested in doing research on it. But in my opinion, it's one of the most fascinating structures in Egypt, and there are so many small details that we could sit here and analyze about that structure that are incredibly significant to over understanding the overall picture of what was happening in Egypt. So it's a very, very special place. And so in terms of how we got access to it, if you want to access an off limits site, for example, the pyramid complex at Abusir, you have to get something called a special permission access from the Egyptian Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities. So my wife and I applied. I work with a local tour company that does all the hosting for like Patricia's tours and Yusuf's tours, and basically everybody that I know in the Egyptian tourism industry works through the same tour company that I work with. So we had our tour company apply for and arrange special permission access into the Pyramid of Abu Sir and into the Pyramid of Userkaf, and we got them to unlock the doors for us. And when you get special permission access, you get 2 hours. That's the going rate for special permission, whether it be Osiris shaft is a special permission, private entry into the Great Pyramid, special permission, the Osirion. All of these are done via special permission in Egypt. And that was 2023 when my wife and I did that.
yeah, so tell me please your impression when you got in, how it was inside and everything with details. What did you expect at first? And when you got in, what was your impression?
Well, so thanks to the Asida project, I had done a pretty significant amount of research ahead of time. I saw the initial footage from there. I looked at all the pictures and the diagrams that the team had put together. And for the people that are watching that aren't familiar with the Asida project is a group of independent researchers across the world. And in my opinion, it is one of the most prolific ancient structure and ancient artifact research organizations in the world. It is highly reputable and respected within not only the conventional archaeological community, but also in the alternative ancient history community in general. For example, there's a fantastic researcher by the name of Keith Hamilton who has
Yeah.
done an exceptional, extensive series of layman's guides on all of the pyramids. And he often references the Asida Project's original work from this research mission that they conducted from around 2010 to 2013. And the Asida Project visited and got access into more sites in Egypt than anyone else that I have ever even heard of. It is an absolutely remarkable undertaking what they were able to accomplish during this mission. And Guy was a member of this original research expedition. So hats off, Guy. Again, I have to give you guys a round of applause and a sincere point of recognition for what you were able to accomplish, because it has laid the foundation for so many other projects that have built upon the exceptional research that was conducted by the Asida project. So you guys really deserve the congratulations and all of the recognition for what you did during that time.
Yeah, it was long time ago.
Hopefully you'll all be back here again soon so we can. I've been working with, some various members on the Asida project team for several years now, and I'm hoping that one day we'll all be able to meet together here again in Egypt and actually do some on-site research, which would be very exciting. So going back to your original question, I was fairly prepared when I was, getting ready to go inside the Pyramid of Userkaf. So starting on the outside, there were a couple of things that I was particularly interested in researching regarding the Eastern Temple and the Southern Temple. So in the Eastern Temple, they refer to this structure as an offering temple, which is also often the nomenclature used for some of these temple structures that are adjacent to the main pyramid itself. And there is a black granite conduit system. And by conduit, I mean a channel or a little housing carved into stone coming out of this Eastern temple. And I had done a lot of research on a similar system that was discovered at the Pyramid of Niuserre in Abusir. The one in Abusir is carved from red quartzite, and it flows underneath the black basalt floor of the Eastern temple and into this large collection bowl, which is also made out of red quartzite. An absolutely spectacular artifact. And the conventional explanation for these things is that they're for water drainage, which I highly disagree with that conclusion, because you don't have a water drain pipe connecting into the side of a pyramid temple. That doesn't really make sense from a logistics or engineering standpoint. So that was the first thing of interest, was this conduit carved out of black granite sticking into the side of the pyramid structure at Userkaf.
Yeah, way many places you can see with water pipes.
Yep. And so they also found these things at the Pyramid of Saqqara. There is a network of conduits and channels that run underneath the paving of the temple. And these were actually documented to have been originally lined with copper pipes. So it's subject for some interpretation whether the rest of these channels actually may have originally had copper pipes. We don't know for sure, but the ones in Saqqara are documented to have copper pipes in them.
No, so in Pyramid of Saqqara, this water pipe goes down with this road toward the Voli Temple. It's a long structure.
Yes, yeah, it runs all the way from the Eastern Temple down the causeway into the Nile River Valley Temple, and it's a spectacular engineering feat.
I think we have, in the Pyramid of Saqqara, we have a lot of marks of copper. I think that's why we say it was copper pipes. But at real, we were trying to work with copper tools with this granite. That's why it's everywhere leftover of copper.
Yes.
It's not only at these pipes. If you see these stelas and where Saqqara names is printed, it's also all green. Every part has leftover of copper.
Yeah. And what you're referring to is the green copper oxide that was
yes,
that was left from those copper inlays. So what he's referring to is that on some of these carved hieroglyphs in granite, they were originally inlaid with copper, where there was a piece of copper metal stuck into the hieroglyphic depiction, and when the copper was removed, it left some green copper oxide, which is evidence that there was originally metal inlaid in these structures.
And I think it was different way, because copper does not leave marks if it just was sitting on where. You can see these leftovers when people working with tools. When
you think the copper oxide is from the actual carving process?
Yes, of course.
Okay, interesting.
Definitely, because that's why you can see different technologies. How stela itself was made, it does not have this copper oxide, but hieroglyph signs inside, you can see how we were working on it.
Okay, interesting. So there's also I don't know if you've noticed, but at the Great Pyramid of Giza, in the black basalt paving of the Eastern Temple, there are some of those saw blade cuts in the black basalt where you can see the striations of the saw blade. And I give credit to Yusuf Awian for pointing out that they've also found this green copper oxide in these saw blade cuts. And I actually did an episode on my channel a while back where they did a chemical analysis of some of the material that was found in these saw blade cuts. And the green copper, so let me clarify something. There's a big myth within the ancient history community that the Egyptians were using pure copper. That's not correct. The chemical analysis has shown that it's something called arsenical copper, which is known as
Yes.
arsenical bronze in the ancient world. It's 90% copper and about 10% arsenic, which is an alloy of copper and arsenic that creates a much more durable and castable metal alloy. So the blade is not pure copper. It's an alloy of two different metals that completely changes the property of the metal and makes it much better of a cutting tool than just pure copper. And they also discovered tiny micro fragments of ilmenite and corundum, which was the abrasive cutting material that was being poured as a slurry into the cutting surface. So they discovered ilmenite is titanium oxide, and corundum is the same mineral that's in ruby, the second
Yes, yes,
hardest mineral on the planet next to diamond. So they do know for sure that they were using arsenical copper saw blades and a ilmenite, corundum, and various other minerals in an abrasive slurry to facilitate the cutting process. So that's interesting that it. So you know the lintel beam at the Pyramid of Sahure, the one with the green copper.
yeah.
That's an interesting interpretation that the green was from, because I've always heard from our local guides. You know, there's always a local guide that comes out there with you. They always say that there was copper, metal as an inlay on the hieroglyph. So that's the first time I've heard the interpretation that it could have been from the tools.
No, but we don't know what to say because we took parts, we took little pieces of all this stuff, and
Yep.
we made analysis. What is it and where is it? And when we're talking about sewing, even with this, I think what you say, these stones, we don't have no marks from copper. When the surface was solid, so how we was sewing, we don't know.
Right. So going back to the Pyramid of Userkaf, another interesting factor is the black basalt southern temple, which the configuration of the Pyramid of Userkaf is a little bit unique in Egypt. Usually we see temples on the eastern side. Userkaf has the primary temple on the southern side of the structure, which is a little bit different from everything else that we see in Egypt. And there are only a handful of other structures in Egypt that have this black basalt paving. The Eastern Temple of the Great Pyramid, the Pyramid of Niuserre in Abusir, and the
Yeah.
Pyramid of Userkaf. There's a few other small structures that appear that it might have some black basalt, but it's not as common as people might think to use that black basalt. So I was very interested in studying the configuration of that black basalt floor.
Tell me please about inside structure of Userkaf pyramid and about this sarcophagus. It has a broken sarcophagus inside, like in mastaba of Shepseskaf. So
Yeah.
I wonder how it looks.
So for the people that are watching that aren't familiar with the inside of the pyramid, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see it perfectly.
Fantastic. So here's a good diagram
Yeah.
from Keith Hamilton's Layman's Guide to the Pyramid of Userkaf. So you go down through the descending passage, you cross through a small vestibule area, and you climb over the portcullis system. And all of this is supported with red granite. Here, when you see the white, those are limestone masonry blocks, and the red are red granite. Then you take a left and you go into this ancillary, what they call magazine chamber. And this is a chamber that is completely excavated from the bedrock. And for some reason, all of the stones that originally cased this bedrock chamber, it was originally completely finished with limestone blocks, but they've taken all of the blocks off of the walls, and nobody knows exactly what happened to them. But that was one thing that I found to be very unusual, is that at some point in history, the masonry from inside of this chamber was completely disassembled and removed from the structure.
Oh, because it was easier when to cut new stone blocks. We were using it for our construction. That's it.
Yep. And so the tough thing is, you can take them out from the inside, but then you have to haul them out of the pyramid itself, which is, it's certainly no easy task to be hauling these stones out of there. But after you leave the magazine chamber, you go into the main burial chamber. And this is the artifact that we're referring to here, which is this, well, originally it was a container, or a sarcophagus, a rectangular container. And in my opinion, this is a very unusual material. And we have a chemical analysis data and microscopy analysis of this stone. And it has been determined to be a blue sandstone material. So in some of the other pyramids at the Saqqara complex, we have a material called black greywacke.
Yeah.
Which is inside the pyramid of Winis and inside the pyramid of Teti. And greywacke is it's a sandstone type of geology. This is a very similar chemical composition, but it's blue. Anybody who takes a look at this, and if you watch this coming Sunday on my channel, you'll be able to see footage from inside of this chamber when we're looking at this stone. It's a blue sandstone. And as far as I know, there are only 2 other structures in Egypt where this blue sandstone material has been discovered. Again, all courtesy of the Asita project. Guy, I'm sure you remember, it's the headless pyramid.
Yeah.
And then there's also one fragment of this blue material out in front of the mastaba, or temple of Ptah Shepsis, in Abusir. There's a big rectangle piece of this blue sandstone that's just sitting in the middle of the temple, and it's completely out of place. Nobody knows where it came from or why it's there. It's just this big, long rectangle of this same blue sandstone material at the temple of Ptah Shepsis.
No, it's and the same sarcophagus in mastaba of Shepseskaf.
Okay. With the same blue material.
Oh, it's I should not say it blue. It's like gray, but it looks blue. Yeah, it looks blue.
Yeah. No, this is
And
one of the most
very similar. It's a completely different structures with Pyramid of Userkaf and mastaba of Shepseskaf. It's completely different structures. Mastaba of Shepseskaf has a granite structure inside. All rooms are granite and looks like Assyrian temple, very old. But sarcophagus with container is the same. So I don't know. That's why I'm asking you about this sarcophagus. I was in mastaba of Shepseskaf like first after Geoffrey, after 20s, after 100 years. So, and it's still there, and it's the same quality and same stone.
So if anyone were to Google blue
This one,
sandstone, the first thing you will, oh, that's a,
you
that
can see the color.
yeah, yeah. So if anyone Googles blue sandstone, the first thing you'll find is that blue sandstone is an artificial stone, that it's man-made. Now, I highly disagree with the idea of geopolymer being used in Egypt.
No, of course not. It's original stone. It's
Yeah, it's
natural stone.
yeah, real stone. Right, right. Now, I do think, and I think that some of the team members of the Asida project agree on this, that in South America, there is some evidence of artificial stone like the H blocks at
Yes,
the Pumapunku
andesite. It's andesite. It's different kind of
andesite,
stone.
right? Yeah, yeah. But in Egypt, quarrying was extensively done in Egypt, and there's so much evidence. They know where the quarries are. They've matched the geology and the structure to the exact quarry locations. A lot of people talk about this idea of geopolymer in Egypt, and I really disagree with that. It's natural stone, but the tricky thing is trying to find out where this. Again, I think it looks blue in Userkaf. I mean, we picked up those fragments of stone, and it's microcrystalline quartz, like the fragments of quartz that are inside of this material are compared to granite, for example, where granite has relatively large chunks of quartz. This
Yeah.
blue sandstone material in Userkaf, I mean, it's micro fragments of quartz that are absolutely spectacular. It also has sort of veins of maybe copper running through it, maybe a copper type. There's like these orange bands running through it. And I think the blue color is coming from cobalt mineralization, which would give it that blue tint. So it's an absolutely beautiful piece of stone. It's unlike anything else. And the finish on this. So have you been inside the what is it? Is it El Lahoun with the
Yes,
underground?
El Lahun.
Yeah, with the sarcophagus that has the slant to it.
Yes, yes, it's Senusert the second in El Lahun. Also, I
Yeah,
was first who was there after
yeah,
100 years. After Petri discovered and excavated, and after it was closed. And
yep.
I was there in 2013 at this structure. Yeah,
So
I
the
know. Archaeology, I know what you're talking about.
yeah, so in my opinion, that sarcophagus inside or underneath the El Lahoun pyramid structure is one of the finest examples of high precision masonry in Egypt. It is an absolutely spectacular piece. But from what I can see from this sarcophagus or container inside the Pyramid of Userkaf, it is of similar quality of masonry to the container at the Pyramid of El Lahoun. It is an amazing artifact.
I think it's way better quality. And in Lahun, you can see a lot of like mistakes how it was made. And these two pieces in Userkaf and Shepseskaf were absolutely perfect.
Have you seen the before and recent pictures of the headless pyramid in Saqqara?
No, I did not see.
So
I,
when your team was there, the sarcophagus or container was still basically completely exposed. I saw
yeah,
some recent
maybe I just don't remember because it wasn't in my interests. I have few spots what I researched, so of
yeah.
course I was there, but I don't remember sarcophagus itself.
So I saw some recent pictures from a couple of years ago, and only the edges are sticking out anymore. It's all been completely reburied in sand. So
Hmm.
unfortunately, that's a very frequent occurrence here in Egypt. if it's not a main tourist site, so when I say main tourist site, we're talking about the Giza Plateau and Saqqara
Yeah,
are the two main pyramid sites where tourists actually go, and those are the areas that are bringing in all the money in
of
terms of the
course.
in terms of the tourist dollars. And a lot of these structures that we've been talking about today are not accessible to the public. Abusir is not accessible to the public. The Userkaf pyramid, the headless pyramid, none of these sites are publicly accessible tourist sites. So there's not a lot of money being spent on the maintenance or the excavation or cleaning up the trash or whatever it is. So a lot of these things, they excavated them in the early 1900s, and they've literally just been sitting there getting reburied in sand
Yes, yes,
until
yes, and it's really fast, you know.
yeah. So I
Nothing
will
to
say
do with it.
on
We
the
were
on the
trying to open Abusir for public for many years ago. I don't know how many, maybe 12 or 13 years we're talking about it, and we
yep.
still did not open it.
So I have some news from my tour company, and they said that as of February 2026, the Abusir complex should be open for public visits. And that will be a huge change for that site, because before it's only accessible via special permission. So if they do actually open that to the public, I love the Abusir complex. It's a fascinating site. There's lots of interesting details out there regarding the stonework. There's saw blade cuts, there's circular tube drills. There's a whole vast array of different types of geology. You have black basalt, red granite, red quartzite, alabaster, limestone. Basically, all of the different type of geology is there at the site. There's conduit systems, and there's these big collection bowls, and all of these very, very interesting. So you guys actually got a chance to go inside the Pyramid of Sahure.
Yes, I was there many times in Abusir. I was looking many times. With pipe structure also in this temple of New Sera, the Sun Temple of New
Yes, yeah.
Sera.
Now, yep,
It
yep.
has this round sinks with
Yeah, the collection bowl, correct.
yeah.